It's your boy Rico, aka Lee, back with another video. Not just any video, a spooky time special. Today we're gonna be watching a video by Horror Shorts Party. It's a lot better than what we watched last week with the TikToks. I'm sorry about that. I thought those videos was gonna be lit. Sadly, they disappointed, but we bringing y'all something better today. So make sure that you hit that like button, make sure that you subscribe, make sure that you stay tuned for the whole video. And other than that, let's hop right into it.
This, hands down, has got to be the most creepiest story on the channel. Sometimes, kid drawings could look innocent, but when you dive into the true meaning behind the drawing, you can really discover some terrifying things. Here, you see an innocent-looking cat, but when you see what happens at the end of the story, you may question your sanity. Here's what it looked like. Most kids develop strange habits at some point during their childhood. Imaginary friends, eccentric rituals, or other strange compulsive behaviors. They can be brought on by just about anything.
I know y'all ain't doing rituals out here at like 13, bro. Come on, cut it out.
And the only limit is the imagination of the child. So I'm sure you can imagine my bewilderment when my teenage daughter started seeing the ghost of our recently deceased cat. Now, the teenage years of a kid's life is about the time when they start finding reasons to be mad and indignant with authority, as they begin to voice their disagreements with their parents. But all that stuff is usually over things like curfews and bedtimes and chores. Not about a disagreement over whether or not the cat is still alive. I knew that cat was dead for a fact. I was the one who tried to catch it when it broke out of the house and ran out in front of a speeding car, getting itself turned to roadkill. I was the one who scraped it off the street and buried it in the backyard. Despite that, my daughter managed to find a way to blame me for the cat's death, because I scared it or something. I didn't care though. I didn't get mad back or anything like that, because on a deeper level I understood what my daughter was going through, and to some extent I did agree that some of her stress was my fault. I'd recently taken a new job opportunity that required my family to move to a different city. My daughter detested this because she had been very involved with her old school. I felt bad, so I tried to make it up to her. I bought her a phone and a desktop computer for her room, so...
I'm not gonna lie, right? I grew up in Chicago almost my whole life. I went to high school out there, and my family finally decided to move to a whole nother state when it was like my junior year. It's different when you move school districts or to a different state as a kid that's still in school, because then you have to go into another, not society, but another community and learn what they do. You got to learn the ways that they go. And then, I mean, it's not even just learning that. It's more about you grew up somewhere with a whole bunch of people that you knew from a young age, that you trusted. Like, you built a trust with these people. You know, these are like close friends or whatever. And then you move away. It's hard to build that trust in people that are already grown, because you haven't seen how they acted when they were young and how they grew over the years. So you can't really, really say that it's cool. You know what I mean? Like when I moved to where I am now, I'm not gonna disclose my state, but when I moved to where I am now, I didn't have any friends at first, and it was terrible for me. Like, I didn't like going to school. I didn't like coming home. Like, it was more depressing than anything. You know, it didn't matter what I had at home, Xbox, PlayStation, whatever. It was just more depressing because it was different. Going outside was different. Everything was different. But over the years you start to learn and develop, and it gets better. Trust me, it always gets better. But yeah, I ain't gonna lie to you. If your kids say no as an adult, you should just take it into consideration. But at the same time, it is your choice. So, you know what I'm saying?
She could stay in touch with her old friends over that internet thing the kids were all talking about. My wife and I even took her to the pound and let her pick out a cat for us to adopt. These things combined seemed to do the trick with keeping our daughter happy. However, my wife and I even took her to the pound and let her pick out a cat for us to adopt. These things combined seemed to do the trick.
I'm just saying, I'm just saying. I'm just saying, folks. I see why your daughter's so mad now.
Things became worse than ever. At first, it just seemed like she was not properly processing the grief. For a few days, she didn't say anything. She didn't go to school. All she did was draw. I'd go into her room from time to time to remind her to study and stay caught up. But it was like she didn't even notice my presence. She just kept drawing pictures of the cat, like a little kid with a brand new box of crayons would. Except, her drawings of the cat were actually pretty good. When she finally started talking again, my wife and I wanted to celebrate, but we couldn't, because our daughter wasn't talking to us. She was talking to the cat.
Oh, I'm so glad you came back, Precious. You really are precious, aren't you? Yes, you are.
Who are you talking to, sweetie?
I'm talking to Precious, obviously. She came back. I guess that means you have to start buying cat food again. Don't forget, she's so hungry.
My wife and I were taken aback.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. One, shorty that is a crackhead, for sure. But on a deeper level, she definitely needed help. Like, definitely needed to talk to somebody. So make sure that y'all talk to somebody when y'all going through something, because that's worse. It's worse if you hold it in. So make sure y'all talk to somebody, because it ain't worth it. Trust me. Like, she fucking going crazy.
Our daughter had never had an imaginary friend before, so it was that much stranger to see her develop one now. Or at least, that's the way things looked. We tolerated the strangeness for the time being, however, as our daughter at least seemed to be happier. She started to go back to school again, which we felt was good. The only problem was that when she came home from school every day, she would start doing her old routine of taking care of the cat, dishing out some food and water, petting it, and talking to it and carrying it around. Except there was nothing there. She was just pantomiming. Still, we appeased her and got a few cans of cat food, thinking that she would surely come to her senses.
This is like feeding, this is like supplying an addict with crack and then telling them not to do crack. Bro.
Any moment. But that's not what happened. We watched her set the food out, and the next day it would be gone. We didn't have a dog, so to us, there was only one explanation. Wendy, we need to talk. We've noticed that you've been talking to yourself lately and we're worried. And about the cat food, you haven't been eating it, have you?
Oh my god, no. What do you need, glasses? Precious has been eating it, obviously.
But Precious isn't here anymore, sweetheart. She's not coming back.
What do you mean? She's right here in my arms. You guys are so blind. I can't stand you.
My wife and I just didn't have a clue on what to do. That night, I was losing sleep, stuck
I got a clue on what to do with your wife.
awake worrying that my daughter had gone crazy. That's when I heard a noise from downstairs that sounded exactly like a cat sharpening their claws, tearing up some fabric. My wife had managed to get to sleep, so I dared not ruin her rest. I jumped up out of bed and threw on my robe and walked downstairs by myself. I found the back of the living room sofa had been torn to shreds, like a neurotic feline with abandonment issues had been locked in there alone. I was immediately flushed with a mixture of frustration and horror. Then, a door upstairs slammed shut. I knew that it was my daughter's room. I rushed upstairs, but instead of barging into her room, I stalled. I saw two shadows shifting in the light, spilling out from beneath the door. I heard my daughter talking to herself again, but this time I heard meowing in response. I quietly shuffled up to the door and put my ear against it. I swear I could hear purring. When I thought I'd heard enough, I swung open the door, somehow thinking that I'd see some random stray cat living in my daughter's room. But of course, there was nothing. She was just laying on her bed, acting like she was holding something, petting it and smiling at it and kissing it. I gasped in complete shock at the sight of my daughter acting like a schizophrenic. Wendy jumped up in surprise when she noticed me.
What are you doing? Haven't you heard of knocking?
What? But what are you doing? It's a school night. You should be sleeping. At a loss for words.
If I would have ever told my parents, haven't you heard of knocking? They would have, yeah. Knock your teeth out. like, real shit, who is you talking to? Like, why are you going crazy, bro? It's just a fucking cat. Shout out to my cat lovers. You know, I used to have cats in my days, and I love cats. But, bro, it's a fucking cat. You can get a new one, bro.
Words to say or actions to take. I very awkwardly retreated back through the doorway and gently closed the door. I listened in again, but she turned the light off and didn't make any more noise. The next day, after I'd gotten home from work and Wendy was back from school, I thought I'd try something. I found a camera I'd gotten from a relative the previous Christmas, a regular old film camera with most of the shots left in it from the first film reel we'd ever loaded into it. So, Wendy, I know we've been having some disagreements about Precious. You believe she's still around, and your mother and I believe that she isn't. I thought of a good way that we could find out once and for all who's really right.
With pictures? Okay, let me go get her.
She left the room to retrieve the cat, returning with her arms stretched out in a weird position as though she was holding a fully grown house cat. She smiled and I framed up the camera, then snapped the picture. When the flash went off along with the click of the mirrors inside the camera, Wendy flinched and dropped her arms.
Oh no, that scared her.
She ran off in pursuit of the phantom feline. I wasn't able to get Wendy to take any more pictures with the cat. Apparently, it was thoroughly frightened by the sight and sound of the camera. One was all I needed, though. I took the film roll to the photo lab and had it developed as soon as possible. I waited until my wife and my daughter were both home before opening the envelope. We were all sitting on the couch together when it was revealed. Wendy was ecstatic. To this day, I still can't explain it. I've stopped trying to. The picture I took, even though I saw that there was no cat when I took that photo, the photo itself contained a flawless image of Precious, sprawled out in my daughter's arms, exactly the way it would have been if it had really been there. This image is allegedly the same image taken by the family of the daughter and her quote-unquote invisible cat. When the family got the picture developed, this is what they found. This is just downright terrifying, as the cat seemingly appears in the girl's hands, despite nothing being there when the photo was taken.
Lie, right? Folks did say this shit was gonna be scary. It's gonna creep you out and make you worry about your insanity, but it don't creep me out. That shit actually kind of tight. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but that shit actually kind of tight. I mean, we all know that ghosts are real. I mean, if you believe in bad shit, like the bad paranormal, you know there's good paranormal, but you know there's paranormal, period. So, that shit was tight. I ain't gonna even hold you.